We're incredibly grateful for your support. Before we begin today's tale, tell us, which city or country are you joining us from? We love connecting with our global audience. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1, Shattered Trust. Zachary Morrison gripped his coffee mug with white knuckles, watching steam rise from the dark liquid as he sat motionless at the kitchen counter. The familiar aroma that usually brought comfort now made his stomach turn. His glacial blue eyes fixed on the doorway, waiting. The sound of keys fumbling against the front door lock broke the dawn silence. Zach remained still, his muscular frame tense as his wife attempted to sneak in. The door creaked open, and Olivia's silhouette appeared. Her designer dress was wrinkled, her carefully styled blonde hair disheveled. She froze when she saw him. "Zach, I didn't expect you to be up so early." Her voice quivered as she clutched her purse closer. He said nothing, taking in the details that confirmed what James had told him. Purple bruises marked her neck, hickeys that he hadn't given her. The boxers visible beneath her hiked-up dress weren't his either. "I had a late showing that turned into dinner with clients," Olivia stammered, her hand unconsciously moving to cover her neck. "My phone died, and the Grand Plaza Hotel has quite a view of the city," Zach interrupted, his voice devoid of emotion. "Perfect for dinner meetings." Color drained from Olivia's face. "How did you? Your client must have interesting taste in business attire." His eyes flickered to the visible boxers. "Unless men's underwear is the new trend in real estate." Olivia's mouth opened and closed, no words coming out. Tears welled in her green eyes, the same eyes that had captivated him 6 years ago at that barbecue. The same eyes that had looked into his as she'd promised to love him forever. "Zach, please, I can explain." He stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. Olivia flinched at the sound. Without a word, he walked past her to their bedroom. The scent of unfamiliar cologne clung to her, making bile rise in his throat. In their room, he pulled out a duffel bag and began packing essentials. Behind him, Olivia hovered in the doorway, her mascara creating black streaks down her cheeks. "Baby, please talk to me. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything." Zach continued packing, his movements precise and controlled. His grandmother Margaret's words echoed in his mind. A man's integrity is his most precious possession. Once someone shows you they don't value it, believe them. "How long?" His question cut through her pleas. "What? How long have you been fucking him?" Olivia recoiled at his crude language. In 5 years of marriage, she'd never heard him speak like that. It had just happened. Bradley Thompson. Zach zipped the bag closed. "The developer you've been handling properties for?" Fresh panic crossed Olivia's face at the mention of his name. "How do you know about Bradley?" "You'd be surprised what people notice when they're not blinded by trust." He shouldered the bag and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" "You can't just leave." Olivia grabbed his arm. "We need to talk about this." Zach looked down at her manicured fingers on his bicep, then into her tear-filled eyes. "There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice at the Grand Plaza Hotel. Now I'm making mine." He shrugged off her grip and walked down the stairs. Behind him, Olivia's voice rose hysterically. "You can't do this to me. I love you. It was one mistake." Zach paused at the front door, turning to face her one last time. "You know what the funny thing is? Yesterday, I was working with Andrea to plan our vow renewal. She'd already put deposits down for vendors." The revelation hit Olivia like a physical blow. She staggered back, hand covering her mouth. "Oh God, I hope he was worth it." With that, Zach walked out, closing the door quietly behind him. In his truck, he sat for a moment, hands gripping the steering wheel. Rage bubbled beneath his calm exterior, but he wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing him break. Instead, he pulled out his phone and dialed. "James? Yeah, it's confirmed. Time to put things in motion." As he drove away from the house he'd shared with Olivia, Zach's mind was already formulating plans. His wife had mistaken his quiet strength for weakness, his trust for blindness. She would learn just how wrong she was. The next few hours passed in a blur of controlled activity. He visited his bank, where Monica Chun, a longtime customer of his auto shop, helped him transfer funds and freeze joint accounts. Then he checked into the Red Pine Motel on the outskirts of town, where the owner, Ralph, another loyal customer, ensured his presence wouldn't be logged in the system. In his motel room, Zach finally allowed himself to examine the photos James had sent. Images of Olivia entering the Grand Plaza Hotel with Bradley Thompson, their intimate dinner at exclusive restaurants, stolen kisses in parking lots. Each picture felt like a knife twisting in his gut, but he forced himself to study them, feeding his resolve. His phone buzzed constantly with messages and calls from Olivia. "Please come home. We can fix this. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. Bradley means nothing to me. You're my husband. At least tell me where you are." He read each message without responding, saving them as evidence. The wedding ring on his finger felt like it was burning his skin. He removed it, placing it in the duffel bag side pocket. The tan line it left behind would fade, just like his marriage. The sun was setting when James Sullivan arrived at the motel, still in his detective's uniform. His friend's normally jovial face was grim as he sat in the room's lone chair. "How long have you known?" Zach asked, not looking up from the photos spread on the bed. James sighed heavily. "Started noticing patterns about 3 months ago. She and Thompson would meet at high-end restaurants, claiming they were client meetings. But the body language was wrong. Too intimate. And you didn't tell me? Needed proof first. Cops learned the hard way about making accusations without evidence." James leaned forward. "There's more you need to know. Thompson's got a pattern. He picks married women in real estate, uses them for insider information on properties and his pleasure, then discards them when he's done." Zach's jaw clenched. "How many?" "That we know of? 3 in the last 2 years. All married real estate agents. All handling his property deals." James pulled out a file. "But here's where it gets interesting. I've got a friend in white-collar crime, Maria Vasquez. She's been investigating Thompson's company for months. Your wife's name keeps coming up in connection with some questionable property valuations." A cold smile spread across Zach's face. "Tell me more." James spent the next hour outlining what they knew about Bradley Thompson's business practices. The developer used his affairs with real estate agents to manipulate property values, creating artificial market trends that benefited his... "What's your plan?" James asked finally. Zach stood, walking to the window. In the parking lot below, a couple was arguing by their car, their voices muffled, but their anger clear. "First, I need everything you and Maria have on Thompson and Olivia's involvement in his deals. Then I need a good private investigator. I know just a guy, Steve Parker, ex-military intelligence. He's discreet and thorough. Set it up." Zach turned back to his friend. "And James? Thank you for watching out for me." James stood, clasping Zach's shoulder. "We grew up together, man. When those kids used to bully you in 6th grade, you never backed down. You taught me what real strength looks like. I've got your back." After James left, Zach lay on the motel bed, staring at the ceiling. The weight of the day pressed down on him, but sleep wouldn't come. Instead, memories flooded his mind. Meeting Olivia at that barbecue, her laugh as she teased him about his grease-stained hands. Their first date, where she'd seemed genuinely interested in his work. The way she'd charmed his grandmother, despite the old woman's reservations. His phone buzzed again. A new message from Olivia. "I'm going crazy not knowing where you are. Please come home. I love you." Zach deleted the message without responding. Love. She didn't know the meaning of the word, but she would learn about consequences. His grandmother had taught him another valuable lesson: patience. Revenge, like the classic cars he restored, required careful planning and precise execution. He thought about the upcoming days, the meetings with lawyers, the gathering of evidence, the slow dismantling of the life he'd built with Olivia. The pain would come later, he knew. For now, he focused on his rage, letting it crystallize into cold determination. Tomorrow, he would begin building his case. Tonight, he would plan his revenge. Chapter 2. The Unraveling. The morning sun painted harsh shadows across the motel room as Zach reviewed his notes. 7 days had passed since he'd walked out on Olivia, and each day had revealed new layers of betrayal. His laptop screen displayed emails from Steve Parker, the private investigator James had recommended. A knock at the door interrupted his concentration. "It's open," he called, recognizing James's distinctive pattern. The detective entered, followed by a sharp-featured Latina woman in a crisp business suit. Zach, meet Maria Vasquez. She's the forensic accountant I told you about. Maria's handshake was firm, her dark eyes analytical as they assessed him. Mr. Morrison, I've been reviewing the connection between your wife and Bradley Thompson's real estate ventures. You might want to sit down for this. Zach gestured to the room's chairs while he perched on the bed's edge. Maria pulled out a tablet, her fingers dancing across the screen. Over the past 8 months, your wife has been involved in 12 property deals with Thompson Development Group. In each case, the property valuations were significantly inflated, sometimes by as much as 30%. She turned the tablet to show him graphs and spreadsheets. These are the actual market values based on comparable properties, and these are the values your wife quoted in official documents. Is it illegal? Zach asked, studying the numbers. Maria's lips thinned. They've been careful. The valuations are high, but just within defensible ranges. It's unethical, but proving criminal intent would be difficult. Tell him about the pattern, James prompted. Maria nodded. Thompson's method is consistent. He approaches female real estate agents, usually married ones, initiates an affair, then uses the relationship to manipulate property valuations. The agents get higher commissions, and Thompson's company profits from the artificial market inflation. And when he's done with them, Zach's voice was dangerously quiet. He discards them, usually after about a year. The agents often lose their licenses when the inflated valuations come to light. Their marriages, of course, are collateral damage. Zach stood, pacing the small room. 8 months. So I caught it early in his usual timeline. There's more, James added. Steve's surveillance report came in this morning. Want to see it? Zach nodded, and James handed him a thick envelope. Inside were photos and detailed reports of Olivia's movements over the past week. The images showed her and Bradley meeting at various locations, restaurants, hotels, his office. In each photo, they looked intimate, comfortable with each other. The hotel receipts are interesting, Maria noted. Thompson's been charging them to his corporate account as business expenses. That's definitely fraud, but proving it would require access to his private records. Zach's phone buzzed. Another message from Olivia. She'd been alternating between desperate pleas and angry accusations since he'd left. This one read, "You're being childish. We need to talk about this like adults. I made a mistake, but you're throwing away 5 years of marriage." He showed the message to James, who snorted. Typical gaslighting. Make it seem like you're the unreasonable one. Have you responded to any of her messages? Maria asked, professional curiosity in her voice. No, but I'm saving them all. Good. Documentation is crucial. She pulled out another file. There's something else you should know. Your wife has been moving money from your joint accounts into a private account for the past 6 months. Small amounts, but it adds up. Zach's hands clenched into fists. How much? Just over $40,000. The revelation hit him like a physical blow. Not just the affair, not just the professional misconduct, but theft too. He thought about all the extra hours he'd put in at the shop, believing they were saving for their future. She was planning her exit, James said quietly. Probably on Thompson's advice. Well, Zach's voice was cold. Let's help her with that exit strategy. They spent the next few hours planning. Maria outlined the financial evidence they'd need to gather. James suggested legal contacts who could help. Through it all, Zach's mind kept returning to one question. How had he missed the signs? The answer came later that evening when he visited his grandmother Margaret. Her small house smelled of fresh-baked cookies, just as it had when he'd lived with her after his parents' death. I saw this coming, Margaret said, serving him coffee in her old china cups. Remember what I told you before the wedding? Zach nodded. His grandmother had pulled him aside after the rehearsal dinner, concerned about Olivia's materialistic tendencies. You said she loved the idea of being married more than she loved me. She wanted the successful husband, the big house, the perfect life she could post about on social media. Margaret's voice was gentle but firm, but she never understood what real success means. She saw your auto shop as a stepping stone, not the achievement it was. I should have listened to you. No use dwelling on should-haves, boy. She patted his hand. What matters is what you do now. Have you talked to Howard? Howard Matthews was a retired judge and Margaret's longtime friend. I'm seeing him tomorrow. James thinks he can recommend a good divorce attorney. Good. Howard will steer you right. She refilled his coffee. Now, tell me what you're planning. Zach hesitated. You might not approve because you're planning revenge? Margaret's eyes twinkled. Boy, I'm old, not naive. Sometimes people need to learn that actions have consequences. Just remember what I taught you about patience. Revenge is a dish best served cold, Zach quoted, managing a small smile. Exactly. Don't let anger make you sloppy. Plan carefully. Document everything. She leaned forward. And Zach, remember that the best revenge isn't about destruction. It's about justice. That night, back in his motel room, Zach made lists. People to contact, evidence to gather, steps to take. His phone showed 15 missed calls from Olivia and a voicemail from Andrea, his sister, asking where he was. He called Andrea back. She answered on the first ring. Where the hell have you been? Olivia's been calling me nonstop. Did she tell you why? No, just that you've disappeared and won't talk to her. Andrea's voice softened. What happened, Zach? He told her everything. The affair, the financial deception, Thompson's pattern. By the end, Andrea was swearing creatively. That bitch. After everything you've done for her, want me to ruin her socially? One post about her affair, and her reputation in the real estate community would be toast. Not yet, Zach said. I need to play this smart. Thompson has influence, and Olivia knows too much about my business. We need to be strategic. Fine, but I'm canceling all the vow renewal arrangements. And I'm sending her an invoice for the deposits. After hanging up, Zach opened his laptop and began composing an email to Diana Walsh, the divorce attorney Howard Matthews had recommended. His grandmother was right. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. His phone buzzed with another message from Olivia. I filed a missing persons report. If you don't contact me, the police will have to get involved. Zach forwarded the message to James with a simple response. Handle it. Chapter 3. The Setup. The polished wood of Judge Howard Matthews' desk gleamed as Zach sat across from him, watching the retired judge review his documentation. Howard's silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses gave him an air of authority that hadn't diminished since leaving the bench. Margaret was right to send you to me, Howard said, looking up from the papers. This needs to be handled delicately. Bradley Thompson has connections throughout the city. I'm not afraid of him, Zach replied. You should be. Not because he's powerful, but because desperate men are dangerous. Howard leaned back in his leather chair. That's why I'm recommending Diana Walsh. She's handled cases against Thompson before. What can you tell me about her? She's ruthless but ethical, meticulous in her preparation. Most importantly, she can't be bought. Howard wrote down a number. She's expensive, but worth every penny. Zach took the number. Money's not an issue. I've been careful with my savings, unlike my wife. Howard's eyes narrowed. Speaking of money, I had my friend at First National look into those account transfers Olivia made. She's been systematic about it. Just under $5,000 each month to avoid triggering any alerts. She learned that from Thompson? Probably. It's his usual playbook. Howard steepled his fingers. Here's what concerns me. The timing of these transfers suggests she's been planning this for months. That level of premeditation changes things. Zach absorbed this information, his jaw tightening. Changes how? It means this wasn't just an affair that got out of hand. She was building an exit strategy. The question is, exit to what? Howard pulled out another file. I had my investigator look into Thompson's recent property acquisitions. There's a pattern you need to see. The file contained details of property deals spanning the past year. In each case, the properties had been undervalued during initial purchase, then significantly overvalued when resold. Olivia's name appeared repeatedly in the documentation. She wasn't just helping him flip properties, Zach realized. She was actively participating in his schemes. Exactly. And that gives us leverage. Howard wrote down another name. This is Maria Vasquez's direct line. Work with her to document everything. Diana will need it all. As Zach left Howard's office, his phone showed 3 missed calls from unknown numbers. Steve Parker's latest report had warned him that Olivia was using different phones to try to reach him. He drove to his auto shop, Morrison Motors, where his mentor Mike Donovan was waiting. The older mechanic's weathered face showed concern as Zach parked. "Heard about what happened," Mike said gruffly. "That woman never deserved you." Inside the shop, they discussed business matters. Mike had been managing things in Zach's absence, keeping the operation running smoothly. The loyalty of his employees touched something deep in Zach's chest. "The boys want you to know they're behind you," Mike said, gesturing to the mechanics working in the bays. "We've all seen how hard you worked to build this place." Zach nodded, unable to speak for a moment. After losing his parents, the shop had become more than just a business. It was his legacy, his proof that he could build something lasting. "Thompson's been calling," Mike added. "Wanted to schedule maintenance for his fleet vehicles. I told him we're booked solid." "Good. Keep it that way." Zach wouldn't give Thompson any chance to infiltrate this part of his life. Later that afternoon, he met with Diana Walsh in her downtown office. The attorney's reputation for ruthlessness was reflected in her office decor. Minimalist, sharp, efficient. "Judge Matthews filled me in," she said, skipping pleasantries. "You've got a strong case for divorce on grounds of adultery. The financial misconduct gives us additional leverage." "I want more than just a divorce," Zach stated. Diana's smile was predatory. "I assumed as much. Tell me your goals." For the next hour, they outlined strategy. Diana took detailed notes, occasionally making suggestions or pointing out legal limitations. By the end, they had a comprehensive plan. "One thing," Diana said as Zach stood to leave. "Thompson's wife, Rebecca, might be an unexpected ally. My sources say she's been gathering her own evidence of his infidelities. Can we use that? Let me make some inquiries. In the meantime, maintain your silence. Let Olivia keep digging her hole deeper." That evening, Zach moved into a small apartment arranged through one of his trusted customers. The place was sparsely furnished but secure. The building manager was another former client who understood the need for discretion. As he unpacked his duffel bag, his phone lit up with a new message. This one was from an unknown number. "You can't hide forever. We need to talk about the business." "Bradley." Zach smiled coldly at the screen. Thompson was getting nervous, probably realizing that Olivia's increasingly erratic behavior could expose their schemes. He forwarded the message to James, then called Steve Parker. "I need surveillance on Thompson stepped up," he instructed. "Focus on his meetings with other real estate agents. And get me everything you can on his wife, Rebecca." "Already on it," Steve replied. "You should know, Olivia tried to access your shop's financial records today. The attempt was logged by your security system." Zach had been expecting this. He'd already secured all his business documentation, storing backups with his grandmother's lawyer. Olivia would find nothing she could use against him. A knock at his door made him tense until he heard Andrea's voice. "Open up, little brother. I brought dinner." His sister entered carrying takeout bags from their favorite Chinese restaurant. Her fashionable outfit couldn't hide her concern as she studied his face. "You look like shit," she declared, setting out containers. "But at least you're thinking clearly. I talked to Howard today, and I'm with you all the way." She handed him chopsticks. "I've already started spreading some carefully worded gossip about Thompson's business practices. Nothing directly about Olivia yet, but people are talking." They ate in comfortable silence for a while before Andrea spoke again. "You know what makes me angriest? She was going to let you go through with that vow renewal, knowing what she was doing behind your back." Zach put down his chopsticks, the food turning to ash in his mouth. The renewal ceremony had been his idea, a way to show Olivia how much he still cherished their marriage. Now the memory of planning, it made him feel like a fool. "It wasn't just the affair," he said quietly. "She was stealing from me, Andrea, planning her escape while smiling in my face every day." Andrea reached across the table to squeeze his hand. "Then we make sure she regrets it. All of it." After she left, Zach sat in the darkness of his new apartment, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of the building. His phone remained silent. James had arranged for the missing persons report to be buried, and Olivia's increasingly desperate messages had finally stopped. Tomorrow, he would meet with Maria Vasquez to go through more financial records. The next day, Diana would begin preparing the divorce filing. Each step was calculated, measured, necessary. He thought about Olivia, probably still waiting at their house, expecting him to eventually return so she could explain, manipulate, lie again. She didn't understand yet that the man she'd married, the trusting, forgiving man who would have done anything for her, no longer existed. She would learn, though. They all would. Chapter 4. The Disappearance. Olivia Morrison's high heels clicked against the marble floor of her real estate office as she paced, phone pressed to her ear. 2 weeks had passed since Zach's departure, and each unanswered call deepened her desperation. "This is my 10th message today, Zach. You can't just vanish like this. We have a life together, a home. Please call me back." Her voice cracked on the last words. She ended the call, catching her reflection in the glass walls of her office. Dark circles marred her usually flawless makeup. Her designer outfit couldn't hide how her clothes hung looser on her frame. "Problems?" Bradley Thompson's smooth voice made her spin around. He stood in her doorway, impeccable in his tailored suit. "Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for days." Olivia moved to embrace him, but Bradley stepped back, maintaining professional distance. "We need to discuss the River Heights development." His tone was cool, businesslike. "The buyers are asking questions about the valuations." Olivia's hand trembled as she reached for the relevant files. "What kind of questions?" "They've hired an independent assessor. Someone's been spreading rumors about our previous deals." Bradley's eyes narrowed. "Your husband's disappearance is drawing attention we don't need. I've tried everything to find him. He's not at any hotels, his sister won't talk to me, and his grandmother." "I don't care about your marital problems," Bradley cut her off. "Fix this valuation issue, or we'll need to reconsider our professional relationship." The threat in his words was clear. As he turned to leave, Olivia grabbed his arm. "Bradley, please. After everything we've shared." He jerked away from her touch. "We shared nothing but mutual benefit, Olivia. Don't confuse business with pleasure." Alone in her office, Olivia tried to focus on work. Her computer screen displayed a series of property listings, but the numbers blurred before her eyes. A notification popped up, another declined showing request. The third this week. Her phone buzzed. For a moment, hope flared, but it was just her assistant. "Ms. Morrison?" Mr. Chin called. "He's canceling the contract on the lakeside property." Said something about concerns over the appraisal. Peter Chun, one of her biggest clients, and a regular at Zach's auto shop. The connection wasn't lost on her. At home that evening, Olivia sat in their silent house, a glass of wine in hand. Wedding photos mocked her from the walls. Her and Zach on their happy day, his blue eyes full of trust and love. The same trust she'd betrayed. Her phone lit up with a text from Bradley. "Meeting tomorrow canceled. Thompson Development Group is pursuing other real estate partnerships." The wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor. As she knelt to clean up the mess, tears finally broke through her composed facade. Across town, in his new apartment, Zach reviewed Steve Parker's latest surveillance photos. They showed Olivia's increasingly frantic attempts to contact Bradley and Bradley's cold dismissals. "The Thompson Development Group is bleeding clients," James reported, sprawled on Zach's couch. "Maria's investigation has major investors spooked. Bradley's cutting ties with anyone who might be a liability, including my wife," Zach noted, satisfaction evident in his voice. "Ex-wife soon," James corrected. "Diana's ready to file the papers whenever you give the word." "Not yet. Let her sweat a bit longer." Zach scrolled through more photos. "How's the real estate community responding?" "Your friend Peter Chin's been busy. Amazing how fast rumors spread about questionable property valuations." James grinned. "Olivia's commission checks are going to be pretty thin this month." A knock at the door interrupted them. Rose Martinez entered, carrying a covered dish. The older woman had taken to checking on Zach regularly, bringing food and wisdom in equal measure. "You look tired, Iho," she said, setting down the dish. "Have you been sleeping?" "I'm fine, Rose." Zach accepted her motherly hug. "Just busy." "Too busy for therapy?" "Lucy says you missed your last session." James stood, gathering the surveillance photos. "I'll let you two talk. Meeting tomorrow at Diana's office." Zach nodded. After James left, Rose fixed him with a knowing look. "You're planning something?" "Justice," Zach replied. "Nothing more. Revenge and justice aren't always the same thing." Rose's voice was gentle but firm. My Lucy sees what this anger is doing to you. I'm not angry. I'm focused. That's what worries me. Rose touched his cheek. Don't let this consume you. Later that night, Zach received a text from an unknown number. Market Street Cafe. Tomorrow noon. We should talk. Rebecca Thompson. He showed the message to James, who ran a quick background check. Locations public, low risk. Could be useful to hear what Bradley's wife has to say. The next day, Zach arrived at the cafe early, choosing a seat with a clear view of both exits. Rebecca Thompson proved punctual, sliding into the chair across from him with practiced grace. Thank you for meeting me, she said, her designer handbag placed precisely on the table. I believe we can help each other. I'm listening. Bradley's affair with your wife isn't his first indiscretion. I've been documenting his activities for years, waiting for the right moment. Rebecca's perfectly manicured fingers tapped her phone. Your situation provides an opportunity. Zach studied her carefully. What kind of opportunity? I want control of the company. Bradley's recent behavior, the affairs, the questionable deals, makes him a liability. With the right evidence, presented the right way. And what do you want from me? Rebecca's smile was calculated. Your wife's involvement adds a personal angle the media will love. A scandal like this could force Bradley to step down. You've been planning this for a while. Since his first affair 3 years ago. I come from old money, Mr. Morrison. We play the long game. She slid a business card across the table. Think about it. As Rebecca left, Zach's phone buzzed with a message from Maria Vasquez. Found something interesting in Thompson Development Group's financial records. Meeting at 3, the pieces were falling into place. Bradley's carefully constructed world was beginning to crack, and Olivia was caught in the fissures. At his auto shop, business was booming. Zach threw himself into work, finding peace in the simplicity of engines and machinery. His employees had closed ranks around him, their loyalty a stark contrast to his wife's betrayal. Mike Donovan watched from the office as Zach worked under a classic Mustang. You're different, the older man observed. Harder. People change, Zach replied, not looking up from his work. Your grandmother's worried about you. This made Zach pause. Did she send you to check on me? She sent me to remind you who you are. Mike's voice softened. Revenge might feel good, but it won't heal what's broken. I'm not broken. Zach slid out from under the car, wiping his hands. I'm awake. Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion outside. Olivia stood in the shop's parking lot, looking desperate and disheveled. You can't avoid me forever, she shouted. We need to talk about this. Zach nodded to his security guard, a recent hire specifically for such situations. The man gently but firmly escorted Olivia off the property as she continued shouting. I know you're hurting too. Please just talk to me. Zach turned back to his work, her pleas falling on deaf ears. The woman he'd loved was gone, if she'd ever existed at all. In her place was a stranger who'd thought she could play him for a fool. That evening, he met with Lucy Martinez for a rescheduled therapy session. The young counselor's office provided a safe space to process his evolving emotions. How do you feel when you see Olivia now? Lucy asked. Nothing, Zach replied truthfully. She's just another problem to solve. That concerns me. Lucy leaned forward. Suppressing emotions doesn't make them disappear. I'm not suppressing anything. I'm channeling it. Into revenge? Into consequences? Zach's voice remained steady. She and Bradley thought they could use people, discard them when convenient. They need to learn that actions have repercussions. Lucy made a note on her pad. And what about your repercussions? What is this doing to you? Before Zach could answer, his phone buzzed with an urgent message from James. Bradley's making moves. Emergency meeting at Diana's office. The game was changing. It was time to accelerate his plans. Chapter 5, The Pressure. Diana Walsh's office hummed with tension as she laid out the latest developments. James, Maria Vasquez, and Steve Parker sat around her conference table, various documents spread before them. Bradley Thompson's getting desperate, Diana announced. He's trying to liquidate assets, transfer properties to offshore accounts. Maria nodded, pulling up financial records on her laptop. He's lost 3 major investors in the past week. Rebecca's family connections are making people nervous. What about Olivia? Zach asked. Steve shuffled through his surveillance photos. She's been to Bradley's office 6 times this week. He won't see her. She's also made multiple attempts to access your business records. She's looking for leverage, Diana mused. Something to force you to talk to her. James leaned forward. Maybe it's time to file those divorce papers. Zach considered the suggestion. The past month of silence had clearly destabilized Olivia, but he wasn't ready to show his full hand yet. Not yet, he decided. Let's see how Bradley handles the pressure first. As if on cue, his phone displayed a message from Rebecca Thompson. Bradley's calling an emergency board meeting. Time to move. The next few days saw a flurry of activity. Rebecca, armed with evidence from Maria's investigation, launched her offensive at the board meeting. Bradley's questionable deals came under scrutiny, with particular attention paid to his relationship with certain real estate agents. Olivia's professional reputation suffered immediate collateral damage. Her phone rang constantly with clients canceling contracts and demanding explanations. The property valuations that had earned her hefty commissions now attracted unwelcome attention. Please, she begged Bradley during one of her attempts to see him. His secretary recorded the encounter. Just talk to me. Tell them it was all legitimate. Bradley's response was cold. Security will escort you out, Ms. Morrison. Don't come back. The recording, anonymously delivered to local real estate agencies, effectively ended Olivia's career in luxury property sales. At his auto shop, Zach monitored the situation through his network of contacts. Peterson kept him informed of the business community's reaction, while James tracked the legal implications. Bradley's wife is playing this perfectly, James commented, watching news coverage of the Thompson Development Group's stock decline. The media loves a scandal involving rich people behaving badly. Zach's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. You've ruined everything. I hope you're happy. Olivia. He showed the message to James, who whistled. First direct contact in weeks. She's cracking. Good. Zach's voice was devoid of emotion. Time to move to the next phase. The next morning, Diana Walsh's office delivered divorce papers to Olivia's workplace. The thick document detailed her infidelity, financial misconduct, and attempts to access private business records. Attached were Steve Parker's surveillance photos, hotel receipts, and bank statements showing her secret account transfers. Olivia's colleagues watched as she received the envelope, her face draining of color as she read its contents. By afternoon, the entire real estate community, Bradley, already struggling with his own crises, cut all contact. His secretary blocked Olivia's number, and security had orders to deny her entry to Thompson Development Group's offices. Meanwhile, Zach's business thrived. He channeled his energy into expanding the shop, hiring new mechanics and modernizing equipment. His employees' loyalty became legendary in the local business community, a sharp contrast to the betrayals playing out in the news. Rose Martinez visited regularly, bringing food and concern in equal measure. This revenge of yours, she said one evening, watching him work late at the shop. Is it giving you peace? Peace isn't the goal, Zach replied, focused on the engine before him. Then what is? Justice. Consequences. Making sure they never do this to anyone else. Rose touched his arm, making him look at her. And what about your heart? What happens to it while you're serving this justice? Before he could answer, his phone lit up with a call from Rebecca Thompson. The conversation was brief, but significant. Bradley's called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow, she reported. He's trying to maintain control, but the shareholders are turning against him. Your wife's been trying to contact him nonstop. She's not my wife anymore, Zach corrected coldly. After hanging up, he sat in his office, reviewing the past month's events. The pieces were falling into place, each move calculated to apply maximum pressure. A knock at his office door revealed Lucy Martinez, concern evident on her face. You missed another session. Been busy? Too busy to take care of yourself? She sat across from him. Your grandmother asked me to check on you. I'm fine. Are you? Because from where I sit, you're letting this consume you. Zach met her gaze steadily. You're assuming I'm not in control. Control isn't the same as healing. Lucy's voice softened. What happens after you destroy them? What's left for you? Before he could respond, James burst into the office, excitement evident on his face. You need to see this. Bradley Thompson just called a press conference. It's about to start. They gathered around Zach's computer screen, watching as Bradley Thompson, looking significantly less polished than usual, addressed the media. His announcement of a temporary step back from company operations drew immediate questions about the rumors circulating in business circles. As Bradley fumbled through explanations about personal matters requiring his attention, Zach's phone buzzed with a message from Diana. Time to file those additional motions we discussed. He typed a single word in response, proceed. The next phase of his plan was ready to begin. Bradley's world was crumbling, and Olivia's would soon follow. Their actions had consequences, and payment was coming due. Chapter 6. The Breaking Point. Rain pelted the windows of Diana Walsh's office as she reviewed the latest developments with her client. 6 months had passed since Zach's disappearance, and each day had brought Bradley and Olivia closer to their breaking points. The divorce papers hit her hard, Diana reported, satisfaction evident in her tone. Her lawyers attempting to negotiate, but we hold all the cards. Zach examined the settlement offers spread across Diana's desk. Each proposal revealed Olivia's increasing desperation, from demanding half his business to begging for basic support. No negotiations, he stated firmly. She gets nothing. She's claiming emotional distress, saying your disappearance caused her professional difficulties. Diana's laugh was sharp, as if her own actions hadn't done that. Their meeting was interrupted by an urgent call from James. Bradley Thompson just resigned as CEO. Rebecca's move for control is working perfectly. The news brought a cold smile to Zach's face. The carefully orchestrated pressure campaign had worked exactly as planned. Bradley's reputation lay in ruins, his company slipping from his grasp. Across town, Olivia sat in her empty house, surrounded by unpaid bills. Her phone, once constantly ringing with client calls, remained silent. The real estate community had frozen her out completely. A knock at her door sparked hope, but it was only her neighbor, Susan. There are reporters outside again, Susan reported nervously. Something about Bradley Thompson's resignation? Olivia rushed to the window. Indeed, several news vans lined the street, reporters hoping to catch comment from the other woman in the Thompson scandal. Her phone lit up with a text from Bradley. The first contact in weeks. My lawyers advise against any communication. Don't try to contact me again. The message sent her spiraling. She dialed Zach's number for the 1,000th time, only to find it disconnected. Her real estate license suspension notice lay unopened on the coffee table, alongside past due notices from her credit cards. A text from Andrea, Zach's sister, only twisted the knife deeper. Stop trying to contact our family. You've done enough damage. Olivia grabbed her keys, desperate to find Bradley, to make him talk to her. The reporters outside tracked her movement, shouting questions. Mrs. Morrison, any comment on Bradley Thompson's resignation? Is it true you helped falsify property valuations? Did your affair with Mr. Thompson lead to his downfall? She pushed through them, barely making it to her car. The drive to Thompson Development Group's headquarters passed in a blur. In the lobby, security stopped her immediately. I'm sorry, Ms. Morrison. You're on the restricted list. Please leave before we call the police. You don't understand, she pleaded. I need to see Bradley. Just for 5 minutes. Mr. Thompson no longer works here, the guard stated firmly. And you're trespassing. As security escorted her out, she caught sight of Rebecca Thompson entering the building, looking triumphant. The woman's cold smile told Olivia everything. This had been orchestrated, all of it. Meanwhile, at Morrison Motors, Zach reviewed the latest reports from Maria Vasquez. Bradley Thompson's resignation had triggered a domino effect, with investors pulling out and partners distancing themselves. Rebecca played her part perfectly, Maria noted, highlighting key financial data. The board had no choice but to accept his resignation once the evidence came to light. James entered the office, adding to the news. Bradley's trying to salvage what he can, but Rebecca's lawyers have frozen most of their joint assets. And get this, he's selling their house? How's Olivia taking it? Zach asked, his voice neutral. Not well, James replied, pulling up surveillance photos. She tried to get into Thompson Development Group today. Security had to remove her. She's unraveling fast. Peterson called next, his voice excited. You should see what's happening in the real estate community. Everyone's running background checks on their agents now, reviewing past deals. Olivia's name keeps coming up. The pressure points were working exactly as planned. Bradley's downfall had triggered exactly the scrutiny Zach had anticipated, and Olivia was caught in the crossfire. Rose Martinez arrived at the shop later that evening, concern etched on her face. I saw Olivia today, she said quietly. At the grocery store. She did that to herself, Zach replied, not looking up from his work. Yes, she did. Rose touched his arm. But watching someone break doesn't heal what they broke in you. Lucy's therapy sessions had been focusing on this same point. Revenge can be justified, she'd said in their last meeting, but it can also become a poison. Are you sure you're not drinking it yourself? But Zach remained focused on his goal. The pain would come later, or maybe it wouldn't. Right now, he had a job to finish. Diana Walsh called with updates on the divorce proceedings. Olivia's lawyer is requesting a meeting. They're practically begging for mercy at this point. No meeting, Zach instructed. No mercy. The following week brought more developments. Bradley Thompson was spotted leaving town with a small suitcase, his company in shambles and his reputation destroyed. Rebecca's takeover was proceeding smoothly, with the board's full support. Olivia made one last desperate attempt to salvage something. She showed up at Morrison Motors during business hours, causing a scene in the parking lot. You've destroyed everything, she screamed at the building. Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted? Security removed her quickly, but not before several customers recorded the incident. By nightfall, the videos had spread through local social media, further damaging her already ruined reputation. That evening, Zach sat in his apartment, reviewing the day's events with James and Maria. The systematic dismantling of Bradley and Olivia's lives had proceeded exactly as planned. Bradley's gone, James reported. Bought a ticket to Miami this morning. Looks like he's running. Maria nodded. Smart move. His investors are talking about legal action. The questionable deals are coming back to haunt him. And Olivia? Zach asked. Suspended license, frozen assets, mounting debts. Maria checked her notes. She's facing professional ethics investigations. Several former clients are considering lawsuits. The pieces had fallen exactly where Zach had intended. Bradley Thompson, the smooth-talking developer who'd seduced married women and discarded them, had fled in disgrace. Olivia, who'd thought she could betray her marriage and profit from dishonesty, was facing the consequences of her choices. His phone buzzed with a message from Rebecca Thompson. Thank you for your help. The company transition is proceeding as planned. Bradley won't recover from this. Zach didn't reply. His alliance with Rebecca had been one of convenience, each using the other situation to achieve their goals. Now that those goals were accomplished, no further contact was necessary. Rose's words from earlier echoed in his mind. Watching someone break doesn't heal what they broke in you. Maybe she was right, but healing hadn't been his goal. Justice had been cold, calculated, complete justice. As Act 2 drew to a close, Zach Morrison had accomplished what he set out to do. Bradley Thompson's empire had crumbled, his reputation ruined, his marriage destroyed. Olivia had lost everything: her career, her lover, her stability. Their carefully constructed world of lies and betrayal had shattered completely. Chapter 7: The Reckoning. Diana Walsh's office buzzed with activity as her team prepared the countersuit documents. The attempted paternity fraud had given them exactly the leverage they needed. She really thought she could pull this off, Diana said, reviewing the DNA test results. Trying to pass off Bradley's child as yours. That's a new low. Zach sat across from her desk, his face impassive. She's desperate. Desperation makes people stupid. Well, this particular brand of stupid is going to cost her. Diana pulled up another document. I've drafted the emotional distress countersuit. Once this hits the papers, make sure Andrea gets an advance copy, Zach interrupted. She'll know which media contacts to approach. The story broke the next morning. Local papers ran headlines about the attempted paternity fraud, complete with quotes from sources close to the situation. Andrea's media contacts had done their job well. Olivia's phone rang nonstop with reporters seeking comment. She huddled in her apartment, watching her last desperate gambit explode in her face. The baby, Bradley's son, wailed in the background as she tried to reach her lawyer. "They're destroying me," she sobbed into the phone. "You have to do something." Her lawyer's response was blunt. "You should have told me about the paternity issue before we made claims in court. There's not much I can do now." Across town, Bradley Thompson faced his own crisis. Rebecca's lawyers served him with paternity suit papers, demanding DNA testing. The results would confirm what Olivia had known all along. The child was his. "You need to handle this," he barked into his phone. "I don't care how much it costs. Make it go away." But Rebecca had planned too well. Her father, retired Senator Carson, had ensured the paternity suit received prominent media coverage. The story of the disgraced developer abandoning his illegitimate child played perfectly in the press. Maria Vasquez's investigation findings hit next. While Bradley's deals hadn't been strictly illegal, the pattern of irregularities and ethical violations was damning. Investors began pulling out of Thompson Development Group projects. The stock price dropped 30% today, James reported to Zach over dinner at his apartment. "Bradley's trying to dump his shares before it gets worse." Zach nodded, satisfaction evident in his expression. "How's Rebecca handling the transition?" "Like she was born for it. She's already appointed a new board of directors. Bradley's being phased out completely." Their conversation was interrupted by a knock. Sophie Thompson, Bradley's teenage daughter from his first marriage, stood in the doorway. At 16, she carried herself with a maturity beyond her years. "I have something you should see," she announced, pulling out her phone. Dad's private emails. He was warned about the property valuations months ago, but pushed ahead anyway. James whistled as he reviewed the emails. "This is gold. How did you get these?" "He used the same password for everything my birthday." Sophie's laugh was bitter. "Ironic, since he never remembered it when I was growing up." The evidence Sophie provided became another nail in Bradley's coffin. Rebecca's lawyers used it to devastating effect in the divorce proceedings, proving his pattern of reckless decision-making. Meanwhile, Zach's auto shop thrived. He channeled his energy into expansion, adding new service bays and hiring more staff. The contrast between his success and Bradley's downfall didn't go unnoticed in the business community. Peter Chin stopped by the shop one afternoon, grinning as he handed over his car keys for service. "Heard Thompson Development Group lost another major contract. Seems nobody wants to do business with a man who abandons his own child." The child support negotiations were particularly brutal. Rebecca's lawyers pushed for maximum payments, citing Bradley's history of high living and hidden assets. The final settlement would strain his already dwindling resources. Olivia attempted to intervene, hoping to secure her own settlement. Her lawyer arranged a meeting with Bradley's. "Mr. Thompson's obligations to his legitimate family take precedence," his lawyer stated coldly. "Any support for your child will be handled separately." "Legitimate family?" Olivia's voice rose hysterically. "He told me he loved me. He promised to take care of us." Bradley, sitting at the far end of the conference table, didn't even look at her. Back at Morrison Motors, Zach reviewed the security footage of Olivia's latest attempt to see him. She'd come to the shop 3 times that week, each time being turned away by security. "She's not handling the publicity well," Lucy Martinez observed during their therapy session. "The paternity fraud story has made her a pariah in the community." "Actions have consequences," Zach replied simply. Lucy studied him carefully. "And are you finding peace in those consequences?" Before he could answer, his phone buzzed with a message from Maria. "Bradley's trying to transfer assets offshore." Rebecca's lawyers are already blocking the attempts. The next few weeks saw Bradley's empire crumble piece by piece. Sophie's testimony about his character in the divorce proceedings was particularly damaging, painting a picture of a man who viewed relationships as transactions. "He cheated on my mom the same way," she told the court. "Used women for business advantages, then discarded them. When Mom confronted him, he left us with nothing." Her words, coupled with the evidence of his business practices, completed his professional destruction. The board of Thompson Development Group voted unanimously to remove him from all positions. Olivia watched her own life disintegrate in parallel. The emotional distress countersuit moved forward, with Diana Walsh building a compelling case about the psychological impact of the paternity fraud attempt. She didn't just lie about the child, Diana argued in court. She attempted to manipulate Mr. Morrison into accepting paternal responsibility for another man's son, while knowing full well who the real father was. The judge's ruling was scathing. Olivia's attempts to play the victim backfired completely, with the court noting her pattern of deceptive behavior. As the reckoning phase drew to a close, Bradley Thompson fled the state, leaving behind his ruined reputation and crumbling business empire. His attempted asset transfers had failed, leaving him subject to both Rebecca's divorce settlement and the paternity support payments. Olivia, facing mounting legal bills and professional disgrace, was forced to move to a small apartment across town. Her real estate license suspension became permanent after the ethics board reviewed her history of inflated property valuations. The woman who had once lived in luxury, juggling an affair with a wealthy developer while spending her husband's money, now struggled to make ends meet as a waitress. The child she'd tried to use as leverage became a reminder of her ruined life. Zach watched it all unfold with cold satisfaction. The pain they'd inflicted on him had been repaid tenfold, not through direct action, but through the systematic exposure of their own choices and characters. His grandmother's words proved prophetic. Revenge, served cold, was indeed the most satisfying dish. Chapter 8. The Healing. 2 years passed, marking the distance from that fateful morning when Olivia had stumbled home wearing another man's clothes. Morrison Motors had grown into a major presence in the local business community, known for both technical excellence and social responsibility. The training program for underprivileged youth, named after grandmother Margaret, had become Zach's passion project. Tony Martinez and Ryan Donovan helped him develop a comprehensive curriculum, combining technical skills with lessons about integrity and work ethic. "You're building something special here," Mike Donovan observed, watching Zach work with a young apprentice. "Something that'll last." The shop's success stood in stark contrast to the fates of those who had betrayed him. Bradley Thompson's attempts to rebuild his career in another state repeatedly failed as his past caught up with him. Olivia struggled in her new life, the wealthy lifestyle she'd once enjoyed now a distant memory. Kate Reynolds became a regular presence at the shop, bringing coffee during long work days and offering quiet support. Her own experience with betrayal, her ex-husband's affair with her sister, gave her unique insight into Zach's healing process. "It's not about forgetting," she told him during one of their late-night talks. "It's about growing stronger from what tried to break you." Their relationship developed slowly, built on mutual understanding and respect. Kate never pushed for more than Zach was ready to give, and he found himself appreciating her patient strength. Rose Martinez continued her maternal oversight, bringing homemade meals to the shop and dispensing wisdom with her usual directness. "You're different now," she observed one evening. "Stronger, yes, but not harder." "That's good." Lucy's therapy sessions evolved from processing trauma to building future resilience. Zach began speaking at her support group for betrayed spouses, sharing his story of turning pain into purpose. "Revenge isn't about destruction," he told the group. "It's about justice, about making sure actions have consequences." His words resonated particularly with one group member, Michael Chun, Peter's younger brother. Michael's wife had betrayed him in a similar way, and he struggled with the desire for vengeance. "But how do you move forward?" Michael asked after one session. "How do you trust again?" Zach's answer surprised even himself. "You don't move forward by forgetting. You move forward by remembering what you learned." The auto shop's training program attracted attention from local media. A feature story highlighted its success in helping disadvantaged youth build careers, with several graduates already working as certified mechanics. Morrison Motors isn't just fixing cars, the article quoted one trainee. "They're fixing lives." The publicity brought an unexpected visitor, Sophie Thompson. Now in college, she'd been following Zach's success while dealing with her own family trauma. "Dad tried to contact me," she revealed during a visit to the shop. "Wanted to explain himself, make amends. I told him some things can't be fixed." Zach understood perfectly. Some betrayals marked you permanently, changing how you viewed the world and the people in it. The trick was using that change to become stronger, not bitter. Through Kate, he met her father, Dr. Thomas Reynolds. The family court judge's insights proved valuable as Zach expanded his youth program. "You're turning your pain into purpose," Dr. Reynolds observed. "That's rare. Most people either break or become hard. You've done neither." The program's success led to partnerships with local schools and community organizations. Rose's church became a key ally, helping identify young people who could benefit from the training. During this time, Olivia's attempts to contact Zach became increasingly desperate. She left messages with his employees, sent letters to the shop, tried to approach him at business events. "I'm different now," she pleaded in one letter. "I've changed. I've learned from my mistakes." Zach returned each letter unopened. Her changes, her growth, her regrets, none of it mattered to him. She was part of a closed chapter, a lesson learned at great cost. His grandmother Margaret watched his transformation with quiet pride. "You've built something good from something bad," she told him over Sunday dinner. "That's real strength." The healing wasn't about forgetting or forgiving. It was about transforming pain into purpose, betrayal into strength. Zach's revenge hadn't just been about destroying those who hurt him. It had been about building something better from the ruins they'd left behind. Chapter 9. The Resolution. 3 years after Olivia's betrayal, Rose's church filled with friends and family gathered to witness Zach's wedding to Kate. The ceremony represented more than just a marriage. It marked the final chapter of his journey from betrayal to renewal. James stood beside him as best man, their lifetime of friendship evident in their easy interaction. "Never thought I'd see you here again," James whispered as they waited for the bride. "Neither did I," Zach admitted. "But some endings lead to better beginnings." Kate walked down the aisle, beautiful in her simple white dress. Her face showed the same quiet strength that had drawn them together. The understanding that came from shared pain transformed into wisdom. Among the guests, Rebecca Thompson sat with her new partner, David Mitchell. The architect's gentle interaction with Sophie showed how different he was from Bradley. Rebecca had found her own path to healing, turning Thompson Development Group into a model of ethical business practices. Andrea had outdone herself with the wedding planning, ensuring each detail reflected the couple's journey. At the reception, Grandmother Margaret's wedding photo held a place of honor, her wisdom about patience and integrity vindicated by time. The celebration was interrupted briefly by the arrival of a courier, another letter from Olivia. Zach handed it to James without opening it, his decision final and uncompromising. "She still doesn't understand," James said, pocketing the letter. "Some people never do." The news about Bradley Thompson's latest failure reached them during the reception. His attempt to start over in Miami had collapsed when investors discovered his history. "He tried to hide his past," Sophie reported, checking her phone. "But reputation follows you everywhere these days." Zach's auto shop had become a symbol of redemption in the community. The training program, now in its second year, had expanded to include business management courses. Young apprentices learned not just technical skills, but the principles of integrity that Zach's grandmother had taught him. Carlos Ramirez, one of the program's first graduates, approached Zach at the reception. The young mechanic's success story embodied everything the program stood for. "My mom wanted me to thank you again," Carlos said. "She says you showed me there's a better way than the streets." The moment captured the essence of Zach's transformation. His revenge hadn't been about destruction. It had been about justice, about ensuring actions had consequences while building something positive from the experience. As he and Kate moved into their new home, modest but comfortable, chosen together, Zach reflected on the journey. The betrayal that had nearly broken him had instead forged him into something stronger. His grandmother's words rang true. The best revenge wasn't just about living well. It was about ensuring those who betrayed you reaped what they'd sown while you built something better from the ashes of their destruction. The resolution wasn't about forgiveness or forgetting. It was about justice served, lessons learned, and a life rebuilt on stronger foundations. Zach Morrison had emerged not just survived but triumphant, his revenge complete and his future secure. Those who had betrayed him faced the consequences of their choices, while he moved forward, stronger and wiser. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there.